The Book of Genesis, 2025. Full movie. Adam and Eve, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph. Before time itself, before empires and kings, before history began, God spoke, "Let there be light." And out of nothing, the universe was born, and light shattered the darkness. The seas were divided. The land rose from the waters. The heavens were filled with light. The stars were set in their place. And at the pinnacle of creation, God made man. But before we continue, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. A simple gesture that helps spread the word of the Lord. Now, let us continue. Man was free. He lived in harmony with God. No fear, no suffering, no death, until he lost it all. A lie changed everything. Rebellion destroyed everything. And in a single moment, a door was closed. Man fell. Sin entered the world. And from that day forward, the fate of humanity was forever changed. Since then, man has struggled against his own wickedness. The days grew dark. Generations were corrupted. Violence filled the earth until God brought justice. And with water, he swept away the ancient world. Yet even in judgment, God preserved a remnant. He always had a plan. He always called his own to believe. Men sought to be like God. They pursued their own glory. But he crushed their pride and scattered them. And then God called a man, Abraham. "Leave your land. Look to the heavens. So shall your descendants be." From him, a people would be born, a nation that would bring redemption to the world. But the journey would be hard. Trials, promises, betrayals, slavery. And yet, through it all, God would always fulfill his purpose. For even in betrayal, God is present. Even in pain, God has a plan. Even in exile, God keeps his promise. This is the story of the beginning, the story of creation and of the fall, the story of mankind and of the promise. From the first breath of life to the birth of a nation, this is the story of Genesis. Welcome to Echoes of the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. But the Spirit of God hovered over the waters. And then God said, "Let there be light," and light broke through the darkness. God separated the light from the darkness. He called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And God saw that it was good. But he was not finished yet. God stretched out the heavens. He raised the mountains. He carved out the seas. With his word, he caused the rivers to flow. And he filled the earth with life. Every plant, every tree, every creature in the skies, upon the earth, and in the seas, was formed by his hand. And God saw that it was good. But something was still missing, the pinnacle of his creation. Something different, something unique. God came down to the earth. He knelt over the dust, and with his own hands, he formed man. But this being was not yet alive. That was clay shaped by the Creator until God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man opened his eyes for the first time. Adam breathed. God said, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth." God placed the man in a perfect place, a garden of delight, a paradise without death, without sickness, without pain. And in the midst of that Eden, God walked with his creation. But man was not complete. For though every creature had a companion, Adam was alone. So God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man. And as he slept, he took one of his ribs, and from it he formed the woman. And when Adam awoke and saw her, he knew she was different, that she was his counterpart, that she was his companion. Adam spoke with wonder and joy, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man." And so the man and the woman lived in harmony, without shame, without fear. All was peace. All was life. All was good. But the enemy was already watching, and deep within the garden, the serpent waited for the moment to strike. There were two special trees in the garden, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And God said to Adam, "Of every tree in the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. for in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. But the serpent, the enemy of God, the deceiver of mankind, came near to the woman and said, Has God indeed said, You shall not eat of any tree of the garden? Eve, with uncertainty, replied, No, we may eat the fruit of the trees. But of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, God has said, You shall not eat of it, nor shall you touch it, lest you die. You will not surely die, the serpent said. For God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. The words of the serpent filled Eve's mind. She looked at the fruit. It was beautiful. It seemed good for food, and in her heart, she desired to be like God. She took the fruit, plucked it from the tree, and ate it. Then she gave it to Adam, and he also ate. In that moment, everything changed. The eyes of the man and the woman were opened, and they saw that they were naked. For the first time, they felt shame. For the first time, they felt fear. They hid themselves among the trees. But the voice of God was heard in the garden. Adam, where are you? I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you not to eat? The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the fruit, and I ate. What is this you have done? The serpent deceived me, and I ate. Sin had entered the world. The curse was pronounced. Pain, sweat, death. Eden was closed forever. But before man was cast out, God gave a promise. From the seed of the woman, one shall come who will crush the serpent's head. Sin would not be the end. Death would not have the final word. For from that day, the plan of redemption began. Man was cast out of Eden. The earth was no longer a paradise. Thorns grew among the fields. Sweat fell with every labor, and death was now a reality. But even after the fall, God did not abandon humanity. Adam and Eve had children, and from their lineage, the promise of redemption would come. But first, sin would reveal its true face. Eve conceived and bore her first son. I have acquired a man with the help of the Lord. His name was Cain, the firstborn of humanity. Years later, his brother was born, Abel. Cain worked the soil. Abel, on the other hand, was a shepherd. Each had his work. Each had his own heart. But only one of them walked with God. The day came to present offerings to the Lord. Cain brought the fruit of the ground, the result of his labor. But Abel took of his firstfruits, the best lambs of his flock, the fattest, the purest, and he presented them before God. God looked with favor on Abel's offering, but he did not look with favor on Cain's. Cain grew furious. His face became downcast. His heart was filled with rage. And God spoke to him, Why are you angry, Cain? Why has your face fallen? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin lies at the door. It crouches like a beast, and its desire is to rule over you. But you must master it. The words of God echoed in Cain's mind. But instead of repenting, he was consumed with resentment. He no longer saw his brother as family. He saw him as a shadow that needed to disappear. So one day, he called Abel to the field. Cain smiled. Abel suspected nothing. And when they were alone, hatred was unleashed. Cain rose against his brother. He struck him. He wounded him. And for the first time in history, human blood fell upon the earth. Where is your brother Abel? I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are cursed. You shall be a fugitive. You shall wander without rest. This is too much. Anyone who finds me will kill me. I will place a mark on you, so that no one harms you. But you shall be cast out, and you will dwell in the land of Nod. Thus Cain went away. He wandered far from the presence of God, lost, homeless, without rest. For sin had not only separated him from his brother, it had driven him away from his Creator. Cain built a city. His descendants prospered. But with every generation, wickedness increased. Selfishness multiplied. Violence spread across the earth. God looked upon humanity and said, My spirit shall not strive with man forever. I will wipe from the face of the earth every living being. The wickedness of mankind was exceedingly great, Creation had turned against its creator. The world was consumed by corruption. Every thought of man was evil. Every deed was wicked. And God, with sorrow in his heart, decided to bring an end to the age of violence. But in the midst of darkness, amidst such corruption, one man found grace in the eyes of the Lord. His name was Noah. Noah was different. While the world sank deeper into sin, he walked with God. And God spoke to him, "Noah, I have determined to destroy all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence. Build an ark of wood. Make it with 3 levels. Seal its planks with pitch, for within it I will preserve those who shall live." Lord, an ark? For what purpose? For I will bring a flood upon the earth. It will rain for 40 days and 40 nights. The waters will cover the mountains, and all that has the breath of life shall perish. But you shall enter the ark, you and your family. And of every kind of animal, you shall bring a pair to live with you. For after the judgment, I will make a new humanity. Noah believed God, and for over 100 years he built the ark, wood upon wood, plank upon plank, under the scorching sun, under the mockery of men. The people laughed at him. "Noah, it has never rained. There's no sea around here. Why would you need an ark, crazy old man?" He preaches about a God we've never seen, about a judgment that will never come. But Noah did not stop building, because though the world no longer believed in God, Noah did. When the ark was finished, the animals began to arrive 2 by 2, pairs of every creature, from the greatest beast to the smallest insects. And then God gave the final command, "Noah, enter the ark with your family, for in 7 days I will send the rain." Noah and his family entered. The doors of the ark were shut, and the world outside did not know that its fate was sealed. Then the sky grew dark. The wind howled. The first thunder shook the earth, and the rain began to fall. At first, just a few drops. Then a storm. Then a flood. The rivers overflowed. The seas swallowed the shores. The mountains were buried beneath the waters. Men fled to higher ground. They pounded on the doors of the ark. "Noah, open up. Let us in. Save us." But it was too late. God had shut the door. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rain did not stop. The earth was submerged, and every living thing perished, except those within the ark. Then, after 150 days, the waters began to recede. The ark came to rest upon Mount Ararat, and Noah waited. He sent out a raven, but the raven did not return. Then he sent out a dove, and the dove returned with an olive leaf. The earth was being reborn, and finally, God spoke to him again. "Come out of the ark, you, your family, and every living creature. Be fruitful and fill the earth, for I will establish a covenant with you and with all creation." Noah built an altar and offered sacrifices to God. And then a sign appeared in the sky, a bow of light shining among the clouds, a promise that God would never again destroy the earth with water. "Whenever you see the bow in the clouds, remember my covenant. For though man remains sinful, I, the Lord, will always keep my promise." Thus began a new humanity, a new opportunity, a new earth. But soon, man would forget God once more, and pride would lead them to challenge their Creator. The earth had been restored. The sons of Noah repopulated the world. Nations and peoples spread to the far corners of the earth. But in their hearts, man had not changed. Wickedness continued to grow. Pride continued to reign. And in the plain of Shinar, a people decided to do something never seen before, a monument to their own greatness, a challenge to God himself. And they said to one another, "Let us build a city and a tower that reaches to the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, so that we are not scattered across the face of the earth." Brick upon brick, the tower rose, higher than any building before it, a symbol of human pride. But God saw what they were doing and said, "Behold, they are one people and they all speak the same language. Now, nothing they propose to do will be impossible for them. Let us go down and confuse their language so that they will not understand one another." And in that moment, the language of men was confused. The workers no longer understood one another. Chaos filled the city. Cries in unknown tongues. Confusion. Desperation. The tower was left unfinished. The people scattered across the earth. And the city was called Babel, for their God confused their language. And once again, man's pride was brought low. Centuries passed. Nations grew. And in the midst of a pagan land, God chose a man who was not a king, nor a warrior, nor a priest, but a man who was willing to believe. Abraham, leave your country, your relatives, and your father's house, and go to the land that I will show you. Where to, Lord? I will make you into a great nation. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. And in you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Abraham didn't understand. He didn't know where he was going, but he believed God, and he left his home. He left his land. He left everything he knew, and he followed the voice of the Creator, because his story would be the beginning of an eternal promise. Abraham left his land. He left his home. He left his past, and he walked into the unknown. But with every step, he carried a promise. God had said to him, I will make of you a great nation. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, like the stars of the heavens, like the sand on the seashore. And in you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Abraham believed. He waited, but the years went by, and the promise seemed distant, because Sarah, his wife, was barren. She could not bear children, and with each passing day, doubt grew. Then one day, Sarah said, Abraham, the Lord has closed my womb. Take my servant Hagar. Perhaps through her we may have a child. Abraham listened to Sarah, and from Hagar, Ishmael was born. But he was not the child of the promise, for God had another plan. Abraham, Sarah shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac. For with him I will establish my covenant. Abraham was 100 years old. Sarah was 90. A child was impossible, but with God, nothing is impossible. Sarah conceived, and when the child was born, Abraham laughed with joy, for God had fulfilled his word. But the greatest test was still to come. Years later, Isaac grew. He was the son of the promise, the heir of Abraham. But then God spoke again. Abraham, here I am, Lord. Take your son, your only son, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah. There, offer him as a burnt offering on the mountain that I will show you. Abraham's heart stopped. How could God ask such a thing? This was the son he had waited for his entire life. The child of the promise, the miracle. But Abraham did not hesitate. Even though he did not understand, he trusted God. The next morning, he rose early. He took his son. He took the wood. He took the knife. And he began to climb the mountain. Isaac walked beside him. He did not know what was about to happen, but something felt strange. Father, here is the wood, and here is the fire. But where is the lamb for the sacrifice? Abraham looked at his son, and, with unwavering faith, he replied, God will provide for himself the lamb, my son. They reached the top of the mountain. Abraham built the altar. He laid the wood in order. He bound his son and placed him upon the altar. Isaac did not resist. He did not cry out. He surrendered in obedience. And Abraham raised the knife, ready to obey, ready to give everything. For in his heart, he believed that if God asked for him, God could also raise his son from the dead. And just as the blade was about to fall, a voice thundered from heaven. Abraham, Abraham, here I am. Do not lay your hand on the boy. Now I know that you fear God, for you have not withheld from me your only son. Abraham lowered the knife. He turned and saw a ram caught in a thicket. God had provided the sacrifice. Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide. Isaac was spared. The offering was made. And God reaffirmed his promise to Abraham. Because you have done this and have not withheld your only son from me, I will surely bless you. I will multiply your descendants like the stars of the heavens and the sand of the sea. And in your seed, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. Abraham came down from the mountain, and the promise of God remained alive. For from his lineage would come Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, and later, the Savior of the world. Because that day on Mount Moriah, God not only saved Isaac, he revealed the future. For one day, on that same mountain, a father would indeed give his son. A son would truly be sacrificed, and his blood would bring redemption to mankind. The promise of God continued through Isaac. He inherited the covenant of his father Abraham, and with his wife Rebekah, he had 2 sons, 2 brothers, 2 nations, 2 destinies at odds since the womb. When Rebekah became pregnant, she felt a struggle within her. Concerned, she sought the Lord, and he answered her, 2 nations are in your womb. 2 peoples shall be divided from within you. One shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. Isaac was around 60 years old when the day of birth came. The first boy was born red and covered with hair. They named him Esau, but when he came out, his brother was holding on to his heel, so they named him Jacob. From a very first moment, the struggle between them had begun. Years passed. The boys grew. Esau became a hunter, strong, wild, a man of the open fields. Jacob, in contrast, was quiet, a man of tents, a man who watched and waited. Because even though Esau was the firstborn, Jacob longed for the blessing. One day, Esau came back from the field, weary and starving. Jacob was cooking a red stew. Its aroma filled the tent. Esau could not resist. So he said, "Give me some of that stew. I'm starving." But Jacob replied cunningly, "Sell me your birthright." "What good is the birthright to me if I'm about to die?" "Swear it to me." Esau swore. For a mere bowl of food, he sold his birthright. He despised the blessing of God, and Jacob took it. But the true battle had only just begun. More than 60 years passed. Isaac grew old, until he was 137. His eyes had dimmed. He began to lose his sight. One day, he called to his son Esau and said, "My son, I am old. I do not know the day of my death. Take your bow and go out to hunt. Prepare for me a meal, so that I may bless you before I die." Rebekah overheard the conversation. She remembered the prophecy, "The older shall serve the younger." And in her heart, she chose to help Jacob. Rebekah spoke, "Jacob, your father is going to bless Esau. Do as I say. Go to the flock and bring me 2 young goats. I will prepare a meal for your father, and you will receive the blessing in his place. But mother, Esau is hairy and I am not. If my father touches me, he will know I deceived him, and instead of a blessing, I will receive a curse. Let the curse fall on me. Just do as I say." Jacob took the goatskins and placed them on his arms and neck. Rebekah prepared the meal, and Jacob entered his father's tent. "My father, who are you, my son?" "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you asked. Rise and eat, so that you may bless me." "How did you find it so quickly?" "The Lord your God helped me." Isaac was suspicious, but when he touched Jacob's arms, he felt Esau's hair. When he smelled his garments, he sensed the scent of the field, and so he gave him the blessing. "May God give you the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth. May people serve you and nations bow down before you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be everyone who blesses you.